Howdy friends, I'm Morgan, the Nerdy Cowgirl, and welcome back to my channel. So I was tagged by Emily Clarice Pessoa, or the Linguist Library, to answer some questions about some books. Emily at the Linguist Library and Ruben at To Readers It May Concern came up with this book tag, and it is called Beauty in Books tag. So there are 8 questions, and it's all about different aspects of beauty, and what books you would say go with that. What books you think meet that criteria. This was a very fun tag to do. It took me a while for some of these. Some of them I was like, oh, it's this one. But then other ones I was like, that's a good question. And I will admit, I don't have a very big history of books that I've read. I've only recently started, within the last couple of years, started reading again. So I didn't have very many books to choose from, but I hope you guys enjoy the books that I chose. Either when you're done here, or before I get started. If you want to go and check Emily's video out, you can go check hers out, see her answers, and then come right back and see how ours are different. You can get a bunch of different recommendations. So let's get started. Number 1, Beauty in Concept. And for this one, I chose the 4 Horsemen series by Laura Thalassa. So this series is about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And God has sent them down as humans, and they are going through the earth and apocalypting. They're doing their job. They are coming to earth one at a time. So first is pestilence, and then war, famine, and then death. So they are sent to earth to wipe us out, and each one of them meets a girl who is trying to help them fall in love with humanity and save the world. And so it was just a really fun concept. Whenever I first saw them at Barnes & Noble, I was like, okay, let's see about this. How is that going to... I love this series, and I 100% recommend it. All right, so second question is Beauty in an Opening Line. And for this one, I chose the first book from the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa, and that one is Rhapsodic. So the Bargainer series is about a siren, and for years she has been making these deals with the bargainer. And when you make a deal with the bargainer, he gives you like a bracelet with like beads on it, and every bead is like a year, I think. A year that you owe him is I think it's like a year that you owe to him. And she has gotten a whole bracelet full of beads. He finally comes to collect, and he is needing her help to solve a mystery that is happening in his realm. I can't remember what his realm was called. The Otherworld. It was a fun series, and it was really fun to discover what was going on. I 100% recommend it to people, and I loved it. But the opening line, prologue, May 8 years ago. There's blood on my hands, blood between my toes, blood speckled in my hair. It splashed across my chest, and to my horror, I can taste a few droplets on my lips. Like, I remember reading that in the store and thinking, oh shit, what just happened? I need to buy this book. And yeah, I was hooked. What a great hook. Because it did. It hooked me in real fast. All right, next is Beauty in Character. So for me, I know this question is kind of open. So you can take it, you can take it in like character growth, character development, like, a fictional character. But the way I took it is I took it like a character of heart. And for this one, I chose The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. If you don't know, this is a story about a Jewish girl in the 1940s are they in Germany? I want to say she's in Poland. She's German born. I know she is German, but I don't think they were living in Germany anymore. But regardless, she is in hiding from the Nazis. And it is a true story. And I chose this one because she was I think 14 or 15 when they went into hiding. And the amount of wisdom that she had at such a young age was so enlightening and so inspiring to be living through that and in hiding where you can't leave. Nobody knows you're up in this attic and you can't leave, you can't get out of it. It was a beautiful and haunting story. She also gave me some of my favorite quotes, and I actually have them on my Goodreads because I loved them so much, and I will go ahead and read them to you just because. The best remedy for those who are frightened, lonely, or unhappy is to go outside, somewhere they can be alone with the sky, nature, and God. For then, and only then, can you feel that everything is as it should be, and that God wants people to be happy amid nature's beauty and simplicity. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And the fact that she can't is, And then the last one is, riches, prestige, everything can be lost, but the happiness in your own heart can only be dimmed. It will always be there, as long as you live, to make you happy again. Both of those just struck my heart and really showed her character to me. And I loved it. I love this story. Of course, I read it in school, but it hit different reading it as an adult, especially as a mom too. All right, the next one is Beauty Amidst Pain. Now, I do have the physical copy of this one, but I lent it to a friend, so I don't have it with me. But it is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. So this story is about a girl and her sister's fiance, so soon to be brother-in-law, get kidnapped together by a serial killer who is known as the matchmaker. They call him the matchmaker because that's what he does, is he kidnaps two people and forces them to do things together, and then once he sees that they have fallen in love with each other, and he kills them. And it is a dark romance. It is a rough read. There is like on page R word, but it was such a beautiful story about trauma and, you know, unhealthy or toxic trauma bonding. And then, you know, this one could have been on my for the last question, but I think it fit better in Beauty Amidst Pain because there was beauty in it. And so it is a rough read, but in my opinion, it's worth it. I loved it. The next question is Beauty in Incompleteness. And for this one, I chose something that I actually haven't read. I've read Fire and Blood now, but I haven't read this series because it is incomplete. But I'm sure y'all can guess what it is. But it is the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. So I think I have like half the books, but I haven't read them yet because I, was waiting for him to complete the series, and I don't think he's going to. I was watching one of my favorite podcasts or panels to watch, and on it they read through a tweet that somebody had tweeted saying that George will never complete this series because of his nihilism, and his outlook on the world is so narrow and so skewed that he can't finish the series in a way that feels satisfactory. And that makes sense to me because, after everything that's gone on, what would feel satisfactory would be a hero story, and George doesn't write hero stories. So he's having trouble wrapping it up because he doesn't know how to write that. And so that makes sense to me. Of course, that the tweet put it more eloquently than I am. And the reason that I chose it for Beauty and Incompleteness is that although it's incomplete and you don't know what George's vision is for the end, you can kind of make your own. It leaves it open to interpretation. You can make your own character win the throne. I've seen so many people rewrite seasons rewrite season 8 for sure, but sometimes they rewrite season 7 to go with their new season 8. And I think that's beautiful in itself, that, you know, people are still making theories about Song of Ice and Fire and about Game of Thrones, and people are still making content on YouTube about it, and it's beautiful in its incompleteness because it leaves it open for other people to come up with their own story, come up with their own ending, and in a way that feels satisfactory to them. And that's kind of beautiful. All right, so the next question is beauty in place. And for this one, I chose the Lord of the Rings series by J.R.R. Tolkien. More specifically, The Fellowship of the Ring. The reason that I have struggled so much with reading this book is that Tolkien is so descriptive. It takes him a page to describe the path that they're on and the way that they're walking, and although it's beautiful, and I love the descriptions that he's using, and you know, I love that he's taking the time to do it and to set the scene and you feel like you're there. It made it hard because I didn't need all that. You know, I can picture a forest without you needing to describe every tree to me, or, you know, the path. And it was just, I don't know, it was rough. It was hard to stay focused on the story. It got better in the last two stories. Return of the King is my favorite of the series. It's my favorite of the movies too. I love it so much. The Battle of Pelennor, it's just so good. I know people talk about the Battle of Helm's Deep all the time, but the Battle of Pelennor, it gets me every time. Every time. Oh, but anyways, the reason that I chose this for beauty in place is because, like I said, it was just so descriptive and so immersive that I felt like I was in the shower. In the shower. I felt like I was in the Shire, or I was in Rivendell, or I was in the Mines of Moria. It was just, his writing is just so descriptive. And then with the languages and the songs randomly in it, you feel like you're there. And it was just, I want to be there. This is one of the worlds, this is probably my number one world I would want to visit if it was real. I just love this series. I feel like every video I talk about Lord of the Rings, but it's such a staple. I just love it. All right, next is Beauty in Time. Now this is one that I'd struggled with. I didn't really know how to answer this. I haven't read very many books about time. I thought about Bridgerton because that is my favorite period series. You know, it is Victorian era. And so I thought about the Bridgerton series, but I ended up settling on this one because I loved it as well. And it is the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. More specifically, the first one. If you don't know about this book, it is about a woman from the 1940s. Her and her husband, Frank, were both in the war. She was a nurse, a war nurse, and he was a captain? I don't remember. He was a officer in the army. They got married right before the war started, and then they both went to war, and then when they came back, they decided to go on a second honeymoon. And so they went to Scotland. While they're there, they find some stones, much like Stonehenge, and they see a dance going on around the stones, and then they leave. Well, she noticed a flower that she wanted to go and collect, and so she goes back to the stone alone, and then she hears one of the stones humming, and when she goes to touch it, she's teleported through time to the 1740s, and gets captured by some Scotsmen or some Highlanders. I love Jamie. I loved him. I loved him in the show. I loved him in the book. Yeah, I loved him. I loved this book the most. I tried to read Dragonfly and Amber, but I didn't like it as much as the first one. So I didn't continue the series. Let me know if I should, but there was just something about the first one that I loved. The way it describes the Highlands and, her learning about Scotland and its people and everything. It was really cool. It was really fun. And it's fun to learn this stuff with her. And it was just beautiful. I loved it. All right, the last one is Beauty in Catharsis. Now, this one I struggled with too. I don't know that I've read very many books that have a cathartic feeling, but the closest one that I could find was Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I don't have a copy of this one. I read my sister-in-law's copy, and I absolutely loved this book. The movie does not even compare. It was so bad. But the book, the way it portrays her loneliness and her abandonment and her need to be in nature. Nature is the only thing that has been consistent for her. And although she didn't go to school and she's not educated, she gets like a doctoral degree in biology and writes all these books about the animals of the swamp. And then she, finds love, and it was a beautiful story. And literally the last page has a giant twist that I didn't see coming. So yeah, it was a beautiful story. I know some people don't care for it, but I loved it because I felt like I could feel the loneliness and I could feel her abandonment, and it was cathartic for her to accomplish so much and live a decently good life with her husband. So that's my Beauty in Catharsis. All right, so those are all my books for the Beauty in Books tag. So now I get to tag some of you guys. So some people that I want to tag, and I'll warn you, I'm going to say book a lot. First is Amber Mashal. I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But Amber Mashal, Bookish Drifter, Bookish Sarah Rose, BookishlyLori, and Bookonnoisseur. Now that's a hard one to say. I feel like I always say it like a dinosaur, like Bookonnoisseur. I'm sorry, Bookonnoisseur, but I think in my accent it comes out more like a dinosaur. And I'm sorry, I apologize. But it's not. It's Bookonnoisseur. I can't wait to see y'all's picks for these Beauty in Books questions. Feel free to check out Ruben and Emily and all those that I tagged today, and subscribe to them. I hope that you guys have a great day. Hope that you guys enjoyed my choices. Like this video if you liked it. Comment down below your answers to these questions, or if you agree or disagree on my choices. And subscribe for more content from me. And I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you. Happy trails. Bye.